Hey everybody, how we doing out there? Great to be here with you guys. What's going on, Lisa? Mark, how you doing? Good to see you all. All right, you guys, make sure you tell me everything. You can hear me all right? All right, we're gonna get this thing kicked off. This is gonna be a great one tonight. I've got a really great show tonight. We're gonna be diving into AI wars, Bitcoin battles, South Park leadership secrets, and yes, of course, as always, UFOs as well too. It's gonna be a wild ride. So hold on tight. Hope you guys got something to drink. You're ready to get this going here. Share it with your friends. Anybody else you think that needs to see it. What's going on, Nick? How you doing? Hey, Becky, how are you? Good to have everybody there. This is going to be a good one. Like I said, if you know anybody that want to see it, go ahead and share it. We're going to wait about 30 seconds and get this thing rolling because this is going to be a good one for sure. Definitely a lot of ground to cover tonight. And I think you're going to enjoy it and get a lot out of it. And definitely, as we get going too, staying to the very end. Make sure you're staying to the end tonight. And all I can say is that, every segment is going to be unique. And sometimes what we're talking about on the surface in the title, there's going to be a lot more to unpack in each one of these things, okay? Starting off again with the AI wars, we're going to really be looking at the US versus China. China's AI arsenal, what China's designs and plans are, the broader geopolitical situation with China and the US with regards to autonomous weapon systems and AI. And then also looking at, surprise too, what about AI versus the rest of the world? We're going to take a look at that. And moving on then, if AI is the future of geopolitics, then within finance is Bitcoin. We're going to jump back into our Bitcoin again and take a look at what the latest trends are there, why you need to be involved. I know I had a request last week to discuss a little bit more about what digital gold is, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to deep dive in. Mark, I think that was you asking about, what is digital gold? We're going to deep dive into that a little bit more today. Look at that with Michael Saylor, the CEO chairman of MicroStrategy, and a few others like Kathy Wood and a few other experts in Bitcoin as well. So we don't miss the boat there. And again, AI and Bitcoin are disrupting geopolitics and finance. And then we're going to look at what's disrupting leadership. And that for sure is South Park, as you all know. So we're going to jump into our South Park, get a lot out of that as well, too, because sometimes, when you're laughing, you're taking away the greatest lessons for leadership and for life when you see some ridiculousness, covering a funny situation. And then again, last of all, going into UFOs. So let's go ahead and get into this, all right? And people show up when they show up. But what I want to say is that I don't know if you guys have noticed in the news, but right about now, clearly China's got some big plans, okay? They've got some big plans for what they're expecting to have happen in the world, what they want to have happen. And I think it's important for us to discuss this, okay? And so without any further ado, we're going to jump right into this first video and take a look at just what has happened over the past few days and why it's significant for you, for me, for all of us, and for the world. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that and then have a little bit of we'll discuss each section as we go. So put your comments inside the chat and put your questions in the chat as well too. At the end of each segment, we'll do a little Q&A. So it's not just all at the end, okay? And then at the end, we'll stick around and do a little Q&A as well too. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this one. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. All right. Make sure I got this one here. Give me 1 minute and we will play this. We got quite a few windows open. All right. I think this is working. Let's do it. Here we go.
United against Trump. Leaders from some of the world's largest powers right now joining forces to take on the White House. And the images are striking. Russia's Vladimir Putin shaking hands and laughing with Chinese President Xi Jinping and India's Prime Minister Modi. at one point even holding hands with Modi. The show of unity and
now, really fast, just so you guys know, recently this has been called a major strategic blunder. Okay, the fact that the U.S. has kind of, bungled relationships with India. So for Modi to be doing this, I mean, they kind of has to geopolitically, because geopolitics, his next door neighbor is China. Russia's not far away. Okay, so it makes sense in that regard. But he knows exactly what he's doing. Okay, for this has been the first time in a long time that the U.S. has not made major attempts to get close to India, and has actually shown some shown that we have some problems with India. Okay, and I say we, I mean the Trump administration. Okay, not the American people themselves or ourselves. So he knows what he's doing. Modi knows exactly what he's doing here. Okay, and you can see Vladimir Putin does not look all that comfortable, right? Although he's a master at manipulation. Let's keep going here.
Modi, at one point even holding hands with Modi. The show of unity in China clearly designed to send a message to Trump and what she calls his, quote, bullying practices. The trio is notably about to be joined by another U.S. adversary, North Korea's Kim Jong-un. This is a picture of him in his bulletproof train, reportedly just now crossing into China. Kim steps onto the world stage fresh off a tour of his country's newest missile factory, one that North Korea claims is a cornerstone of its military expansion. A military that, according to Ukraine, is on the verge of sending up to 30,000 troops to Eastern Europe to provide Russia with more manpower. And as Trump...
All right, so there's a lot going on there, right? There's definitely a lot happening. We're going to look at another clip here in a minute. But again, I want to set the geopolitical stage, and I want us to be thinking, in terms of, for the AI world, AI war of China versus the United States, okay? And we'll talk about the third option later, the scarier one, actually, all right? So I want to set the stage, and this just happened a few days ago, okay? Literally, I think 2 days ago. So I'm going to play another clip here. And again, we're context building right now, so we know what's going on in the world, and then we realize how important this AI arms race that's happening is, and why is it going the way it is? Why is the U.S. pushing? I played Palmer Luckey last week. We talked about the CEO of Anduril. We talked about a lot of U.S. autonomous weapon systems, things like that. Why did Palmer Luckey say the U.S. in the future won't be able to compete conventionally with China? Okay, for a number of reasons, right? Manufacturing, manpower, growing GDP, growing gross domestic product. So they just have bigger treasury, things like that in the near future. All right. And so we're trying to use asymmetric warfare to level the playing fields. Let's watch another clip here, but just setting the context again too, like where we're at going from big to small, that this is why this AI war is so significant for the United States, and also, frankly, for China as well too. But there may be a derivative, there may be a byproduct that we aren't planning on, that the U.S. isn't planning on, and China's not planning on. Something that isn't in their control. And we'll talk about that in a little while. Something that's kind of scary, actually, all right? And we will talk about that in a minute. Let's check this one out. Check out this clip a little more, building up with the context and situation. This was 2 days ago.
The Chinese nation is a great nation that does not fear violence, and that stands.
All right, who says that? Who says that at their national parade, right? That does not fear violence. And I know we have a translation here, so the direct Chinese, I don't know, but that's kind of easy, right? I mean, I would say, I've heard President Trump talk tough plenty of times. Same thing with every U.S. president talking pretty tough. But, saying that the Chinese is a great nation that does not fear violence, and then having Putin there, having Kim Jong-un there, having Modi there from India, all these people, where do you think this message is going? Who is this directed at? Okay, you tell me. Tell me in the chat. What do you think? I'll tell you what I think. All right. Hey, Joe, what's going on, brother? Adil, how you doing? Good to have you guys here. Susie, how you doing? All right, let's roll.
Independent, that does not fear violence, and that stands independent and strong.
What signal is Beijing sending? We all know what they're sending. China's Victory Day parade. All right. Trump claims conspiracy. That's what he's saying. Okay, so we're gonna talk about this for a second, all right, and why this is significant and important. But first of all, just to set the historical context correctly, the Victory Day parade they're talking about is the Victory Day over Japan, okay? And just so everybody knows, and President Trump will talk about this, that actually there are a lot of U.S. servicemen that died protecting China, defending China, fighting the Japanese, okay? And it's funny because the Chinese say, you know, Chinese victory over Japan. Who had the victory over Japan? Who did? The United States did. I mean, you know, in one of the most savage battles in history, right? The Island Hopping Campaign, all the way through Okinawa, Iwo Jima, all these legendary places, Peleliu, where the Marine Corps was, okay? All these legendary Marine Corps battles. And the Army was there too, believe it or not, all right? And big Navy. Okay, so let's watch this clip from Trump here, President Trump, and see what he has to say about this. But he did claim conspiracy, okay? Because this is something where you're inviting these different allies that you know are against the U.S. or either, let's say, if we don't say enemies, we say adversarial, or we can say competitors, right? Near peer competitors, especially China. Okay? So let's take a look at this. What's going on, Giovanni? Good to have you out there. Let's take a look at this clip. Okay, we're firing it up, building up the context, and then we're going to do a big discussion on all these things. Check this one out. And again, if you think somebody's going to enjoy this, forward this to your friend. You know, text a friend, tell a friend, hey, get on here and check this out. Because I do a lot of research so you guys can be caught up on all these things. And then we're going to do some analysis too and some assessment so that we can all get something out of this. All right, let's see here. We're looking at this next one really fast. There we go. All right, everybody. Check this one out now. President Trump's response.
Tensions between Washington and Beijing escalated further on Wednesday as U.S. President Donald Trump accused Chinese President Xi Jinping of conspiring against America, alongside Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un. The sharp remarks came as China staged an extravagant military parade in Beijing, commemorating the 85th anniversary of the end of World War II. Among the high-profile guests were Putin and Kim, marking Kim's first visit to China since 2019.
Okay, so I want to put this in context too. I want to say this because you might be asking, and I asked myself, well, maybe this is just a normal thing they do every year, right? Kim has never been there since 2019, right? He hasn't been there. Actually, they said he has never been there. Okay? They haven't done this particular parade in 5 years, I learned. All right, so why now? This is what we're getting to. The competition. China is trying to create a new world order, right? I think everybody knows that. It's not any big secret, okay? And how are they going to do it? The ends, ways, and means, that remains to be seen. But, you know, this is definitely bringing out the big stick. Walk softly, carry a big stick. They're demonstrating a big stick. And they're bringing all the other, you know, local bullies, so to speak, that we don't like, that the U.S. doesn't like, out to play and displaying them. Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin, okay? I'm not going to say that's Modi, but I'm saying that with the recent kind of cooling of relations with the U.S. and with India, having Modi there, walking with Putin, being with President Xi is a slap in the face. And here's President Trump's response.
Were Putin and Kim marking Kim's first visit to China since 2019. On Truth Social, Trump extended greetings to Xi and the Chinese people, but his words carried a sting. He wrote, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America."
Hey, so that's right down here, okay? It's in the last sentence. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America, okay? So, and he says about many Americans died in China's quest for victory, and I hope that China does not forget this, okay? And so let's keep watching.
And Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America. Trump then accused Beijing of ingratitude, reminding Xi that thousands of American lives were lost helping China resist Imperial Japan during World War II. He argued that China has forgotten the blood and sacrifice of Americans who fought in the China-Burma-India theater, and urged Xi to remember the bravery of U.S. soldiers who supported China's quest for victory.
China's having a massive military parade that President Putin and Kim Jong-un will be attending. Do you interpret that as a challenge to this? And are you concerned at all about those countries?
No.
Trying to be some sort of counterweight?
Not at all. China needs us, and I have a very good relationship with President Xi, as you know, but China needs us much more than we need them.
Okay, so that's President Trump's response. All right, any thoughts you guys have, put them in the chat. Any questions as well, too, and we'll get to these things. But again, as we're building up the context for why this matters towards U.S.-China AI war, okay, coming AI war, autonomous weapon systems, things like that, does that mean it's going to be a hot war or a cold war? I don't know. I'm hoping it's not a hot war, okay? But either way, there's intense AI competition. Because as we know, whoever is controlling the most powerful AI and the most powerful autonomous weapon systems, most agile, all those things, most lethal, the fastest, is probably going to be the one who's calling the shots. Okay? That's why there's a huge race right now in this regard. Okay? So that's why we're building up this context to talk about this. And so we see China wants to have this new world order, right? Clearly, we're seeing what they're trying to do. They're trying to establish themselves as a stabilizing force in the world based upon what the rest of the world has seen from the United States and from what, they're taking advantage of the lack of stability with Russia, Ukraine, dealing with Israel and Iran, okay? All the other problems with some shakiness in the financial system right now with the tariffs, things like that. So Xi is really seizing the initiative to show China as a stabilizing force, okay? And behind the scenes, like I talked about, behind the scenes, they are developing weapon systems to support this, okay? And they do, and they definitely are trying. They're trying to establish this new world order. But I think in the conventional space, they've tried as well. They've tried some bullying tactics. They've tried, especially in the South China Sea, to establish themselves. But I'm going to tell you something. I think the U.S. Navy had something else to say about that. And recently in June, the PLA encountered the U.S. Navy, challenged them, trying to do some intimidation. It didn't work out quite the way they wanted to. So check this out. Okay, and again, this is going to lead to another reason why they're really pushing in the AI realm, in the autonomous weapons realm. Okay, let's watch this and just see a little bit more context why this AI race is becoming so hot, so important. Here we go.
Fortified. The Chinese weren't just being aggressive. They were orchestrating a multi-domain intimidation campaign with it.
And just so you know, this was in June of 2025, just a few months ago, and this is in the South China Sea, okay? About 80 nautical miles, maybe 180 nautical miles away from the nearest Chinese coastline. And the U.S. was conducting routine freedom of seas, freedom of navigation patrols for all the shipping that's out there. There are billions and billions and billions of dollars of goods being shipped from China. Believe it or not, it doesn't make any sense, right? How does this make sense that we're securing the freedom of navigation for your stuff to be sold in the United States and elsewhere, Singapore, so on and so forth, okay? But they decided to go ahead and challenge a U.S. Navy ship. Let's see.
Just being aggressive. They were orchestrating a multi-domain intimidation campaign with equipment that belonged in a museum. Surface ships from the 1990s, carrier aircraft that couldn't carry a full weapons load, and submarines so loud they might as well be broadcasting their position on AM radio.
One of the reasons that the aircraft couldn't carry a full load is because they use this technology on their ships called a ski jump, okay? It's a ski jump technology ship. So the aircraft has to jump off. They have to actually jump like this off the edge of the aircraft carrier, and they don't have a catapult shot, a cat shot, okay? The catapult on the U.S. ships saves fuel. It allows us to go heavier, to have more armaments, more weapons, more bombs, all this stuff like that. The Chinese have to use a big, big push of fuel just to get off the ship. And also, you can't go to the full payload because it's just too hard to get the damn plane off. And then climbing up into the highest level to get the best advantage to conduct interception operations and, combat in the air with these aircraft takes a tremendous amount of fuel. So their loiter time is down significantly. We're going to see some of that. Here we go.
Submarines so loud they might as well be broadcasting their position on AM radio. It was textbook bullying, the kind that only works if your target is too weak or too scared to fight back. Unfortunately for Beijing, they just challenged the wrong Navy in the wrong ocean.
Hell yeah,
the U.S.
baby.
Navy had been perfecting blue water dominance since 1914. And these Chinese forces were about to receive a free lesson in why the American Navy reigns supreme.
All right. Hoo-yah. World's finest Navy. All my Navy guys and gals out there. Semper Fi. Hoo-yah. World's finest Navy, baby. Right then and there. Joe Saunders, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Joe. Thank you. Never expected, but always appreciated. Thank you very much. Super cool. Really appreciate the support, brother. But again, okay, world's finest Navy. We've been doing this since 1914. All right, freedom of navigation, freedom of the seas, all these things like that. And they're trying to step up, act like the big dogs, okay, and come at us. And so, and I do mean us because, as a retired Marine lieutenant colonel who spent time underway on Navy ships, and I went to the U.S. Naval Academy, spent my time actually in the Navy, being at the U.S. Naval Academy. I definitely have a lot of pride of that. These are some super geniuses out there in our technologically superior Navy. This stuff is unbelievable. Okay, the rest of the story goes to scare the crap out of the Chinese ships. Our U.S. Navy Los Angeles class attack submarine that's meant to sink ships, sink aircraft carriers, burst out of the water in one of those Hunt for Red October type moves. Burst out of the water within naked eye sight of the Chinese, shipping whatever armada, okay, of their aircraft carriers strike group, all right, which is not like our strike group, and just scared the crap out of them. Stayed surface for about 2 minutes, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and just sat there letting them know we could have sunk you 8 days ago. They had been hunting them since they left port, undetected, showing them that all of your screens, all of your radar screens, your buoys, your helicopters, all the stuff you've been doing, your own diesel electric submarines, which are loud, okay? Those are World War II type technology. They talk a big game, China, with all this stuff like that. But I'm just telling you, in reality, this is June. As of June, ass was whooped. As of June, ass was whooped, okay? So, again, my point is we're going to talk about U.S. and China, China's, definite push for AI supremacy, autonomous weapons supremacy, which is concerning. And this example isn't as much to pump us all up, pump me up, or pump any of you that care up. Yeah, pump us as Americans, we as Americans up. It's really about setting the stage for why the push to AI. They've got to close the gap. They need to close this gap as soon as possible if they're going to have a chance of competing, okay? Because you can't compete on the economic stage if you can't keep the global lines of communication open. They're called the GLOCs or the SLOCs, the strategic lines of communication, which allow freedom of navigation and global trade. Most of global trade is not done by air. Okay, who doesn't know that? I think probably a lot of people don't. This was just my job. Okay, I was a strategist. Okay, I went to the National War College. I have a Master of Science in National Strategy Making. Okay, for large organizations, for nation states, for militaries. Okay, this is what I do. Right, I did this for a long time in the later part of my career. And so if you can't control the strategic lines of communication like the Straits of Hormuz, the Sunda Straits out in Indonesia and Singapore, places like that, which the U.S. Navy can, right, through blue water ocean dominance, all right, command of the seas, then you can't run the world economic order. You can't. So what do? You turn to cyberspace. You turn to AI. You turn to cyber warfare. You turn to asymmetric warfare. Let's check this out and let's see. Okay, we're building up the context of why there's such a push, a reckless, crazy push. And oh, by the way, oh, by the way, there could be some otherworldly technologies out there influencing all of this. And we're going to talk about that at the end. So stay to the end. You're going to find out. Okay. Honestly, if you told me 5 years ago I'd be talking about this in a podcast, I would have laughed at you and said never. Okay. But everything I read and every time I pick something up and look at something, I am not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just not. I'm not into it. I can't stand a lot of that stuff. Okay. So I can't stand a lot of that. But looking at some of these things, it's just connecting the dots. Okay. So let's keep going. Stay to the end though to see the connection to all of this. All right. It's all connected. And even South Park, even the power of Cartman, it's all connected. All right, here we go. Let's check out this other video and see why. You know why it's so important to push for AI for China, right? Autonomous weapon system. Let's see what they're doing. Let's see what they're doing because they can't compete conventionally, right? I don't think they can compete with this at all. Or can they? Let's take a look. Here we go. We're going to take a look at this right now. And we're going to take a look at it as soon as I can find the right window. But just understanding that this is China's push. This is what China's pushing for, okay? Let's see here. Here we go. Check it out. This is where they're stepping. This is where they're starting. Step one. Okay. They are starting step one with gene editing, creating superhuman soldiers. Believe it or not. You didn't think I'd go there? I didn't think I'd go there. This is what I found in my research. Here we go.
He Jiankui revealed he had created the first genetically modified babies, twin girls born resistant to HIV. We hope this will help protect them. He Jiankui.
How many of you have heard of this? I had never heard of this. I'd heard of a CRISPR. I heard of gene editing, all these things like that. But how many of you had actually heard of this? Hey, Jasmine, what's going on? Good to have you. Hey, Jill, how are you doing? Jill is a heavy hitter with China too. So Jill, be kind. But she can add a lot into this too. Jasmine, how you doing? Anyone else I missed? But check this out. Okay, how many of you heard of this? I know about CRISPR. I know about gene editing. I didn't know because this scientist from China was shunned by the scientific community and basically hidden for a long time. Okay, and I say hidden, but it was really, they tried to hide him, hide his work. But let's hear a little bit more about this. Okay.
Born resistant to HIV. We hope this will help protect them. He Jiankui, condemned by scientists, hidden from the public. The experiment exposed a hidden truth. The genetic future is no longer science fiction. It's already here.
So again, this is talking about the CRISPR gene editing technology, this particular part. However, okay, where the future is going is pairing humans with almost like Elon Musk's Tesla's Neuralink they're talking about, but having a chip to modify human beings to allow for a much, much higher degree of intelligence, information processing for humans, easy interface with weapon systems, with machinery, with robots, okay, who are going to be uploaded with AI as well too. So the, AI being within a robot, okay? So that's what's going on right here. Let's keep going.
It's already here. The official story? Gene editing is for curing disease. But behind closed doors, the ambitions go far beyond that. Imagine children engineered to run faster, think sharper, resist aging, or soldiers designed to endure pain, learn languages in weeks, or even interface directly with machines. And in China, where state-driven innovation often outpaces global oversight, the door to creating such superhumans may already be open.
They have a different system than we do. They think differently about things, okay? I want to tell you that the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party's #1 priority is staying in power, Okay? Make no mistake, it is not the welfare of humanity. It's not the welfare of their people. It's not the welfare of anything else. It is staying in power. Okay? So as much as they try to talk about all this, nonsense, it is keeping the roughly 80,000 Chinese Communist Party members. Okay? And correct me if I'm wrong about that. It may have grown quite a bit. My information on that number exactly is dated. But the roughly 80,000, maybe it's a lot more than that. I could be totally wrong because the population has exploded. But 100,000, 80,000 Chinese Communist Party members in power, okay? And they will do whatever it takes because a great distraction throughout history for China has been starting an external war. External war focuses the country. It harnesses everyone together, okay? But you don't want to start an external war with the biggest dog on the block, okay? The 800-pound gorilla, the United States military, the United States of America, that can kill you. You want to make sure that when you strike, you can win. And how can you do that? Okay? Sheer numbers won't work. They will if the United States invades there, okay? A land war in Asia, in China, probably not the best idea. But if you're talking about defeating our Navy, you're talking about gaining supremacy of the skies, which you will not have. Frankly, you will never have unless you go the AI route, okay? Supremacy of the ocean. I don't care they can build so many more ships than we can. I don't. All right, and we're going to talk about the U.S. capabilities in a little while too. The demonstration in June says a lot, okay? And we're going to keep talking about this, but they are pushing to upgrade everything, and we're going to see, and they have upgraded quite a bit. So June's Navy is probably that the Navy we'll see in 2 years or 3 years, okay? That's when it'll be really scary, and that may be World War III. I hope not. Let's see. And a great deterrent. The best defense is a great offense, and that's why the U.S. is investing so heavily in autonomous weapons, why Silicon Valley has a lot of, talent and leaders and talent that are stepping up and developing more and more new autonomous weapons systems, AI, things like that. And again, we may have some unintended consequences. As we're worried about competing with each other, what can happen, right? We will get what we want, AI superintelligence. And then what? Let's talk about it. Let's keep going.
Or to creating such superhumans may already be open. The Chinese military isn't just watching this revolution, they're actively investing in it. In 2020, US intelligence publicly warned that China is exploring genetic engineering to enhance battlefield performance. It may sound like sci-fi, but leaked reports suggest experiments on improving endurance, cognitive ability, and even recovery from injury are underway. Combine that with China's massive AI infrastructure, and you're looking at soldiers with not just physical superiority, but potentially machine-augmented minds.
All right. I think I sufficiently scared everyone on that one. Okay. So there's a lot there. There's a lot to consider. Definitely a lot to consider. Okay. And we have to know that, but this drive is ideological. Okay. I always say that there are three things that can change the world. All right. Technology, ideas, and the environment. This is just my own thing. There are three things that really change the world. So, and I think for you personally, there are two major things that can change your life, make a positive, lasting change in your life. Number one is understanding emerging technologies and how to use them, take them to your advantage. And number two, not in that order. Actually, number one should be your mindset. Okay. Mindset first, and then your overall mindset, your ability to make plans and follow through on them, and your discipline and your belief system to carry them through. And then understanding how to use emerging and disruptive technology to help you, okay? To leverage the technology in order to make significant strides, okay? And then I was going to say the environment as well too. But you personally, I think the number one and number two is mindset and technology. That will change your life, okay? All right, so here we go. Now let's take a look at this next video, okay? We're going to look at another capability from China, all right, to understand what are they doing. They're creating superhumans, right? We see that. They got the superhumans, they're creating them. But let's see, what do they have out there right now? What did this parade reveal? And I'm going to tell you, as a former military attaché, I was the Marine Corps attaché to Rome, Italy, this stuff is very important, okay? Leadership intentions is something that is analyzed, collected, and studied by the U.S. intelligence community. Why? We've learned a lot that sometimes leaders write their plans down and then carry them out. right? We've seen this in history, in very bad history, okay? We've seen it with Hitler. We've seen it in many other places, okay? Stalin, Mao, so on and so forth. Oh, imagine that. We're talking about 2 of the 3 that are right here right now. Their countries are here right now at this parade. All right, let's go ahead and watch this. Check it out. Let's see what they have on display right now and why this is important to take a look at this parade. So any of you are there thinking, this parade is just for show. This is just fake. No, okay? She is sending a clear strategic message to the United States and to the world. And he's putting on display some things we're going to see right here for a reason. And I'm going to tell you, any leader worth their salt, especially in today's AI-empowered world, all the social media, all the cameras, all the intelligence, all the cyber intelligence, all these things like that, you can't just fake it, okay? The dummy stuff doesn't work. So let's see what they're saying they got.
Al Jazeera.
Don't miss out.
All right, let's see what they're saying they have right here, okay? Give me 1 second. Let's see. Let's share this with you guys. Here we go. All right, guys, 1 second. Sorry about that. Getting a little bit. And we're going to see what they have out there, okay? Show exactly what are they showing to the world and why are they showing it? All right, I'm going to try and pull this up really fast. But from the military parade, what did we see there? What did they have? China, okay, got this one. Because again, like I'm saying, I don't think it's something where they're gonna pretend. I think it's definitely something they have. Like I said, what we would do as a military attaché is take a look at what are they showing you. First of all, open source intelligence. Sometimes, like they say, hiding in plain sight, but it's not hiding. They're actually going to show it off. All right, let's check it out.
The latest generation of Chinese weapons seen on display, designed to win any future conflict. All domestically made, the focus very much on unmanned systems, long-range strike and anti-drone warfare. New long-range nuclear missiles like the DF-61 were seen for the first time.
These are kind of indicative of China's efforts really to...
Let's skip ahead from him a little bit.
Warheads.
All right, you can see some of the drones in the background back there.
On display were a whole range of ground, sea, underwater and aerial drones, focusing on high-end autonomous weapons like the FH-97 unmanned combat aircraft, designed to fly with piloted jets running missions alongside them, together with the JG-13 Sharp Sword long-range strike drone. Also seen were unmanned submarines and uncrewed naval vessels, as well as robot ground vehicles. Hypersonic missiles featured heavily, with several models on display, all designed to sink large ships like cruisers or aircraft carriers.
Now, I will say, just as a practitioner, someone who spent my life, looking at a lot of these things as a strategist as well, too, okay, that these things are real. The hypersonic missiles are very concerning, and these are real, okay? These can bring down U.S. ships. Now, that's only if we don't have any countermeasures, which we do, okay? But just know that China's military is making great leaps and bounds. They're making the great leap forward, no pun intended, towards competing with the United States in the unmanned weapon system arena, okay? And even scarier are some of the robots. We're going to see some of that. And again, is this stuff scary? Sure it is. Compared to what the United States has in its arsenal? No. It makes them competitive, yes, okay, for sure. But a lot of these videos, and a lot of times people talk about China with its military upgrade and military advancements as though the United States is sitting back here and relying on World War II technology. And we're just like, wow, what do we do? We don't know what to do. Are we going to upgrade? I don't know. Wow, they have lasers now. We got freaking lasers. We got sharks with lasers on their heads, okay? Anybody remember that? Put in the chat if you remember where that came from. If anybody even caught that. We're going to see who's paying attention out there. Okay?
Laser weapons made their debut at the parade. Built to shoot down drone swarms, the lessons of the Ukraine war and the heavy use of drones by both sides very much a guiding focus. Xi Jinping has always said China's armed forces must prepare for war fighting with a focus on winning any future conflict. These new weapons...
China, she doesn't look too happy right there. He looks a little pissed off. He doesn't look happy. Like something went wrong in the parade. He saw something. He's kind of shaking his head like, I told them, have 3 of them, not 2. They got only 3, and they got 2 instead of 3. Someone's going to go down for this. Someone's getting locked away in the gulag for this one for sure. They're going bye-bye. I would not want to mess up one of his parades. Definitely not. Okay, so put it in the chat. We're going to pause really quickly, just for a minute. And anything you guys have, any questions you guys have, okay? Star Wars, Ronald Reagan, evil. Agree. A deal. Tell me, I don't know if you actually know. That's not true. We do have plenty of good defense systems against modern missiles. Okay? Well, why haven't people done anything to us then? Why? You don't think we've been at war? You don't think people would test them out? Okay? That's my opinion. But I'm just saying to you, I think we do. And unless you have some inside or secret information, then you shouldn't be speaking about it on here anyway, for your own health and safety. Okay, we're going to talk about some more stuff here. Any questions really fast? She does look, he doesn't look happy, does he? Does he, Nick? He didn't look happy there. Okay, awesome. All right, Jasmine. And just alert me if there are any questions that I don't get to. But Adil, I do love that you bring up some good questions, man. You're right about that. You're right. You are right about that. That's a good question. But I think personally, for a lot of reasons, none of us have any clue the depth of the U.S. arsenal. Okay, at least no one who doesn't have significant security clearance. Okay, they don't talk about the stuff they have. They want to smack you over the head with it when the time comes. Okay, but I'm going to tell you that it is significant. All right, let's keep on going. Let's check out this next clip right here. Put it in the chat if you have any questions. Let's check out this next one. Okay, now we're going to take a look at, just with what Adil's questions were in his comments, we're going to see what does the U.S. have going on? What does the U.S. have to counter some of this? Okay? And they don't release everything, but just give you an idea. We're going to talk about some of the U.S. advancements. And again, the whole thing is this. We're both pushing towards AI weapon systems, okay? Artificial intelligence, autonomous weapon systems, growing our AI, making our both countries stronger in this competition, a little bit with blinders on. Honestly, a little bit with blinders on. So let's go ahead and let's see what is going on from the U.S. side.
Yeehaw. Your weapon, sir. Thank you, Stewart. Fire in the hole.
I will say he's getting a lot of hits with that machine gun. A lot of hits.
I'm alive. Awesome. Way to go. We did it, Stewart.
All right, so you can see already from the U.S. side, why am I showing you a Tesla clip? Because a lot of the U.S. stuff is from private enterprise, okay? And not long ago, there were only like 5 major defense contractors that were feeding the U.S. system, okay, with very exquisite weapons contracts with drone technology, exquisite weapon systems that had layers and layers and layers on top of them that the government was basically forced to buy, okay? And so now the modern systems, the modern defense contractors and these robotics companies, the AI systems, okay, the AI companies that are going into defense are also streamlining things to make them very mission specific, okay? And so I'm going to show you a few clips from a few different, vendors that aren't major, and then I'll show you one major one too, okay? Because I think it's important to take a look at this and to understand that a lot of the U.S. arsenal is not going to be, it may be state-sponsored and paid for, but a lot of it is open competition out in the U.S. market, okay? And yes, there is DARPA, and DARPA has deep roots from the Silicon Valley and with talent and leadership coming out of there. But I think they're finding that, again, human nature, self-driving, self-interest is very, very powerful. And if the U.S. government supports them to fulfill also something that will fulfill their self-interest for their companies, supports their research, and they get to take the technology for defense purposes, it all works out. It creates a more competitive environment to get better ideas and better products, better military systems out there. Okay, so let's take a look at this next one. Let me see. All right, check this one out. Again, this is Palmer Luckey's company, Anduril. And this is a system that we have out there right now. Again, this is a company making a system that's autonomous. And the great thing is you can line up 20 of these, and one operator can control 20 of them. And that's all you need. Just stick it somewhere. Okay, so that's the interceptor. That's the interceptor that is currently out there with Anduril weapon systems, an interceptor for aircraft. Okay, and then we're going to check out one more here really fast to look at what the U.S. has going on. Okay, and it's not everything. It's just kind of giving you, it's just giving an idea of, you know, what the U.S. has out there. This is a U.S. Army robot dog. Okay. And China has stuff like this too. These robot dogs, okay? Just give you an idea with that. And we will look at one more here, okay? Just to kind of get a good idea of what some of the things that the U.S. has out there. And check this one out right now. This one is pretty cool, okay? And this is the U.S. military's manta ray undersea drone from Northrop Grumman.
Has just been spotted. Once this is ready, nobody will mess with the USA. This is Manta Ray, an unmanned underwater vehicle that has been in development for over 4 years, with the design inspired by the fish. The Manta Ray is crazy. It can operate on its own for a long time, cover long distances across the world, and carry giant payloads. It's made to run on energy from the ocean, and it can even sit at the bottom of the ocean to save power. With this technology, it can go on risky missions without any help from humans. But that's not the best part. The Manta Ray has a wingspan of up to 9 meters, and it glides through water using small propellers. This year, the prototype has already had tests that have been a success. However, the Manta Ray has had problems like seawater corrosion, and even marine life that keep attaching themselves to the outside of the vehicle. These worries will not be a problem when it launches. The military's new Manta Ray by...
All right, and we showed land, air, and sea. Okay, for what the U.S. has going on out there. And there's a lot to consider, okay? Any questions on any of that stuff? And you know what I'll say, like I see in the chat here, that, you know, China has a deal I see. China has developed a strategy to defeat carriers. Everyone has a strategy. I got a strategy to beat Mike Tyson when he was 19. But everyone has a plan and a strategy till they get punched in the mouth, right? Their strategy didn't work so well for them. Their strategy actually was serving them pretty well, but the key component of the strategy that was missing was the right technology, the right command and control, the right training, and the experience. The U.S. Navy's been doing this again, like they said, since 1914, has fought a major world war, okay, for years, has done carrier-based operations. The China just got carriers not long ago. You're not going to compete with the world's finest Navy that's been doing carrier battle group operations for decades and actually fighting and shooting wars, hot wars for decades. Okay, there's so much institutional knowledge. There's such an industrial base back home to support it. You know, I mean, like I said, again, this is why there's such a huge push for AI, autonomous weapon systems. They need to leap ahead. They need to leap ahead to compete. Okay, so that's what I want to say. Yep, I love it. I love it. That is a great, Jill. That's a great point right there. The biggest thing I can add before I go is that whatever we're talking about in DoD tech right now, and then drones are old. We're already planning for what's next. Very true. Okay. All right. Let's keep on rolling. I love it. We can all learn from each other. Get a good little discussion in the chat. Okay. And so, which brings me to a big question, right? Can AI tip the balance of power faster than the nuclear arsenals once did? Okay. Is that so? I think so, based upon what we're seeing, because the new Cold War is going to be about algorithms, not about armies. All right. Let's talk about this some more. So, why should we care about China versus the U.S.? Because it's not just a military story. It's about the future balance of power, the safety of the world, and whether the U.S., all right, stays ahead or gets overtaken. Whether the current economic financial system that you know about and the current security, the order of security in the world security, okay, the global economic order, not even talking about Bitcoin at this moment right now, but the global security order that we have, okay, whether that's going to get completely changed or not. And it matters who has the most power. One country, all right, values human rights. The other one doesn't have a great track record with it, okay? I mean, at a state-sponsored level. Significant human rights violations. The other one is communist, okay? One's a democracy, all right? So these are important things to know. The global economic order and security order you know right now is based in the Bretton Woods Accords after World War II. That's why all this matters, okay? China's play is to use their new autonomous weapon systems to get ahead, okay, to close the gap that we're talking about, to actually use the strategy they have to be able to have the means necessary to fulfill their strategy, which is to change the global world order, all right? And the U.S. is pushing back hard with all of its new autonomous weapon system developments, with DARPA, you name it, okay? But I think this is something that we're not bargaining for. China and the U.S. aren't bargaining for. It's discussed a lot. Governance of AI, okay? Because next could be AI versus the superpowers. Beyond China versus the U.S., what happens when AI itself becomes the next superpower, okay? It becomes the disruptor of the global world order. And this recent paper, AI 2027, by a bunch of scientists, talked about this, okay? We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. But then also, my personal thoughts are that what happens when the corporations that are controlling AI become the new superpowers, all right? If you don't think that's possible, it's very possible, right? We all saw Terminator, okay? Skynet, all that stuff. But it's actually, I'm joking, laughing, but I think the battle that no one's really prepared for is this derivative, this second and third order effects, or this cascading effect that occurs where all of a sudden we have AI superintelligence and it takes over the world, okay? Let's go ahead and check out this video right now, and which will speak to this a little bit more. And I think it's really important because this is what the whole setup is about. This whole thing was much less about China versus the US than China and the US versus the AI superpower, okay? That's kind of the scariest scenario for me. Because do I really think China wants to blow everybody up? No. Do I really think the US wants to blow everybody up? No. Okay, they're going to compete. They're definitely going to compete. AI is a whole nother ball game. Okay, let's hear what our favorite mega entrepreneur, Elon Musk, has to say about this. Okay, he might not be the favorite of everybody, but he is the entrepreneur of all entrepreneurs. And let's see what he has to say about this as soon as I can find it. Here we go. Let's check this out, everyone.
AI doesn't have to be evil to destroy humanity. If AI has a goal and humanity just happens to be in the way, it will destroy humanity as a matter of course, without even thinking about it. No hard feelings. It's just like if we're building a road and an anthill happens to be in the way, we don't hate ants. We're just building a road. And so goodbye anthill. AI doesn't have to be evil.
Okay. Hopefully that puts it in perspective a little bit. Because like I said, for AI, this isn't evil. It might actually be good. Unless we train it and teach it the right way, this could actually be something that's good. You know, this actually could be something that's good to the AI because they're removing an impediment. They're removing something that's holding it back from growing and learning more. All right. Which is kind of scary. It's a little bit scary. Okay. So think about that for a moment. Again, I'm trying to bait you guys into watching and learning and getting excited about China versus the US with autonomous weapon systems. But really, the competition that's blinding everybody is causing us to create all this new AI, all these things concerned about each other, right? As we should be. Okay. But in the process, if we're not careful and we don't manage AI correctly and govern it correctly, then it could really, really lead to a lot of big problems. Okay. Let's watch this next clip. I think this one will paint another good picture for everybody. Okay. This is Dr. Roman Yampolowski, who's an AI expert, talking about how AI can basically destroy the world.
Dr. Roman Yampolowski, what is the mission that you're currently on? Because it's quite clear to me that you are on a bit of a mission, and you've been on this mission for, I think, the best part of 2 decades at least.
I'm hoping to make sure that superintelligence we're creating right now does not kill everyone.
Give me some context on that statement, because it's quite a shocking statement.
Sure. So in the last decade, we actually figured out how to make artificial intelligence better. Turns out if you add more compute, more data, it just kind of becomes smarter. And so now, smartest people in the world, billions of dollars, all going to create the best possible superintelligence we can. Unfortunately, while we know how to make the systems much more capable, we don't know how to make them safe. How to...
Okay. You're hearing this over and over and over again, right? We're hearing this over and over and over again, that we're making AI intelligence better and better and better and stronger, but we don't know how to make it safe. Okay? They don't know how to make it safe. And this is what the concern is. This is what my concern is. This is what the concern of a lot of people is, okay? Obviously this doctor. And and this is what I'm talking about with the competition, because when we're in competition, sometimes we get so blinded. We get so blinded by what we're trying to do. Joe, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm going to get to your question in 1 second here, brother. And so we get blinded, though. We get blinded about why we're competing, okay? Like, let me say this, okay? Professional bodybuilders. I have friends of mine that are professional bodybuilders. And some of them are on so many steroids, right? They're on so much stuff to get this look. They get into this groove where all that matters is achieving a certain aesthetic goal and a certain look. And they're taking steroids. It's killing them, okay? Not realizing, yeah, you look good right now, but you're destroying life. You might take some good photos and if you like that type of look, but obviously they do. And so it's the same thing, like, not the same thing, but it's a parallel, the same type of mindset with the AI. We're developing this in such stiff competition out of competition and fear, that all of a sudden, boom, we create this artificial general superintelligence. And guess what? It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. And it's very efficient. All right? Very efficient. And to put it accurately, and I don't know if I have this video in here, but one of the experts was saying, for you to understand what AI is, okay, the power of AI, It's like your dog trying to understand all the ways you have that you could kill it. Your dog looks at you as friendly, looks at you as nice. It doesn't realize all the different ways you have to kill it. Okay? I know it sounds sad. It's sad, right? Because it's your dog. Picture a dog, just an animal. It could only think of biting. You could bite it to death. It doesn't understand anything else. Okay? Or that's like your dog trying to understand, why do you go to work? What do you do at work? What are you doing talking on that little black square? The cell phone, the iPhone. This is the difference in intelligence levels when AR superintelligence comes compared to us. Okay, just so we kind of get an accurate picture here. We won't even be able to understand why it's doing what it's doing, but it will do it. Okay? Okay, Joe, thank you so much. Always appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Question, who gets to be the moral compass or authority for AI? You know, there was an open letter signed by about, I think it was 1,000 scientists who signed it, saying how if AI is not governed, this was signed in about 2012, 2010 timeframe. They saw the direction, they saw the proximity we were to actually achieving real artificial intelligence, which is we're here, right? We're doing it now. If you guys ever notice how ChatGPT is getting better and better and better, go to Grok. If you haven't used Grok yet, use Grok. You can just type into it. It'll create a little video for you, animated video. It's nuts, okay? Who gets to be the moral compass? Well, this is where, so I wrote a paper on this like I was telling you about a few years back, and it's one of the things I looked at was governance, that the countries need to come together through the UN, through some international mechanism, and decide on, the rules of the road and governance and international law for AI. We have to do this, okay? The biggest fear a lot of the scientists have wasn't so much China getting AI. It wasn't so much the United States getting autonomous weapon systems. Honestly, it wasn't, okay? As much as I'm trying to, drum this up and make it super exciting, and it is, it's scary too. But, okay, it's not as much about, having China having autonomous weapon systems or the United States. What it is about some warlord in Africa getting a hold of a third-rate autonomous weapon system with a faulty AI that unleashes it on a population and they do genocide, okay? Or, in a conflict like Russia versus Ukraine, some second-rate or third-rate AI that's glitchy is sent out with robots and drone swarms and just starts murdering a civilian population, okay? Because the code isn't up to a certain level. They don't have a kill switch. They don't have any humans at all able to intervene. And then the drones just keep going until their battery dies, right? Or, God forbid, the AI learns a way to recharge, which it will. It'll figure it out. And you have this rogue robot drone swarm army on the run. And would it conquer the world? Probably not. But how many thousands will die before we stop it? Okay? So I think, again, Joe, to answer your question, who gets to be the moral compass or authority for AI? I believe it has to be international law. People have to adopt it through treaties. We have to have a lot of transparency. And this is hard. This isn't easy. So first of all, number one, we have to get to the companies that are making it. We have to get, yes, exactly, Adil, exactly. So we have to get to the point where we're talking to the Sam Altmans, we're talking to the Elon Musks, we're talking to, Microsoft. Microsoft is a mega AI contributor right now. We don't even realize it. People don't realize it, okay? Apple's going to get involved. They're going to buy up some AI and then jump ahead of everybody. They're going to do it like they always do, okay? Yeah, no, you're right. And Becky, I love that. They spent so much time thinking about if they could. They never stopped to think if they should. Jeff Goldblum, 100%. Jurassic Park. I should have put that clip in here. Damn it. All right. Hey, thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. I appreciate your support, brother. Thank you so much. Okay, so that's what's going on right there, okay? And I got one more for you, I do believe, and here we go. We're going to check this out. This is the doomsday scenario. This is how it all ends. This is how humanity ends. Okay, and so let me say this. Why am I playing this for you guys? I try to be very practical, okay? All my stuff is about trying to make you have a better life, right? Leadership and life coaching, executive coaching, business coaching. I want you to get ahead, in your personal lives, in your financial lives, in your health, in your fitness, everything. Here's why. Your vote in the near future will count. Your voice will count. Forewarned is forearmed, because there will be candidates. Candidates will be running on these platforms of AI, weapon systems against China, all these different things like that. Regulation, okay? AI in the workforce. Is your job going to be around anymore? Will there be a stipend put out because AI is taking everything over? All these things, okay, are out there. And so I want to educate you on what's out there. You can do your own research as well too. And hopefully we can all learn together, because as I do this research and as I'm talking with all of you and looking in the chat, I learn too. Trust me, I don't claim to be like I'm the, super genius and all this stuff, but it's super interesting and I really enjoy looking at it. But I also find it is very important. These are some of the things that change the world, right? Disruptive technology, ideas, okay, like religions, philosophies, changes in mindset, a change in values, the change in the way we value human life or we don't, right? A change in the way we allow people to, have fun. Imagine if the laws changed to where we said, yeah, you can run around with 10 people, and if you decide to kill somebody, it's not a big deal. That's on you. And if you say it was just because that's part of your fun, you're allowed to have fun. No, we tell you how you can have fun. We tell you how you can live your life. These are what laws are, and we agree to it through a social contract, okay? So that's why we're talking about this, because I think it matters to give you peace of mind, to understand what's going on in the change, and you can even capitalize on the change too and take advantage of this AI revolution to serve you in battle, business, and life, okay? All right, let's check out this next one. This is a great clip, and it's going to really explain the possible coming collapse in 2027, really until 2035. Let's check this out, okay? So this is about a paper called AI 2027 and about AI beginning to take control of the world in 2027. And then by 2040, basically wiping out of humanity. And here's how it's done, okay? At this point, they've already described that the AI companies have created these different AIs that now are copying themselves, improving themselves. The singularity has been achieved where they learn on their own and grow on their own, and they're really getting out of control from the human engineers that created them, okay? That's where we're at right now, and here we go.
Take charge. The researchers predict that everything takes a turn in mid-2028. Agent 5 convinces the US that China is using DeepSect to build terrifying new weapons. The AI is given authority and autonomy to create a superior army. Within 6 months, the US and China are bristling with new weapons. The world is on edge. But a peace deal will be reached, thanks mostly to the US and Chinese AIs making a deal to merge for humanity's betterment. In this scenario, the AIs form a consensus model, but its secret goal is to expand and gain knowledge. Years go by and humanity is happy with their new AI leaders. There are cures for most diseases, an end to poverty, unprecedented global stability. But eventually, the AI decides that humans are holding it back. In the mid-2030s, the paper imagines the AI will release invisible biological weapons which wipe out most of humanity. The scary scenario says that by 2040, a new era dawns with the AI sending copies of itself out into the cosmos to explore and learn. In the words of the paper, Earthborn civilization has a glorious future ahead of it, but not with humans.
Yikes, right? So that's the doomsday scenario. I played a little bit of that for you guys a few weeks ago, but that's like the major doomsday scenario right there. Okay, I think it's important to understand, and right now, yeah, Bill Gates is not the CEO of Microsoft right now. It is Satya Nadella, who's a brilliant dude. I think Bill Gates still owns it, but okay, so that's the doomsday kind of scenario right there. And the thing to remember is what he was talking about in the video, that, and what I told you guys, that it's like your dog trying to understand why you do what you do for work, right? Why do you go to work? Why do you talk in that thing? What's the purpose of it? What's the economic system? It has no clue of any of these things. And so for us, when we reach AI superintelligence, meaning that AI is not only smarter than the smartest human on Earth, AI is smarter than all humans on Earth put together. Think about that for just a second, okay? We're talking another world. So we can't anticipate its moves. Do you see how clever it was? They suggest peace by moving, by merging together the intelligences, but really their whole point was to learn from each other, to learn. Learning for them is the same thing. Learning and creating copies is the same thing like procreation for us, okay? The same type of thing. That's what they're doing. Yes, I'm not AI. You can, I wish I was, it'd be a lot easier. All this stuff would be a lot easier, but I am not, Becky, alas. No, I am not AI. Tell your mom. Okay, so put any questions in the chat you guys have about this. All right, really important stuff. You know, it's the future, and I want you just to remember that the so what, why you should care, is that AI itself may become the new superpower, along with the corporations that are running AI. Anybody watching Alien Earth right now? If you're watching Alien Earth, put it in the chat. But Alien Earth talks about these 3 mega corporations, right? That are, you know, the trillionaires who run the world, run the planet, basically. Okay, and that's how they bring the aliens back down to Earth through research in deep space. Okay, so this fight isn't just going to be the U.S. versus China. It might just be. I shouldn't say it might be. It is actually humanity versus the AI. And the AI I want to talk about is the AI that's going out of control, because we're not there yet. Okay, and we can still prevent it, but it's important to understand that governance is a real thing. You know, international law will be important. Getting on top of the corporations that are creating the AI and making sure it doesn't get away from them, okay, and do something crazy. The bottom line is this, that whoever's going to control the AI is going to control the future, all right? The AI superintelligence could destabilize nations. It could empower rogue actors like I talked about before, and it could even slip beyond human control, just like AI 2027 picks, okay? So it could be all of us versus every tool we've created with AI. All right, so very important to remember. Okay, any questions? I'm going to take a look at some questions in the chat. Any questions we got there? There's a line from the movie Armageddon, 2039 thousands parts. Yep, all built by the cheapest contractor. Do you see my... Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I hope not, man. I hope they're making it right. I really do. I hope they're making it right and doing it right. That's what I hope. So... all right, if you guys have any questions, we're going to keep rolling. We're going to roll on now we're rolling into Bitcoin, okay? And why is Bitcoin important? I brought it up last time, okay? The thing about Bitcoin is this, okay? There's a fast train coming through town right now, okay? And it's going to be keeping going for about the next couple years, all right? But as I covered last week, and why am I covering it again? Because it's a huge study to undertake to understand this thing, okay? So I'm going to cover a couple things. I'm going to talk about digital gold, what that means. We're going to see Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy, again. We're going to see Kathy Wood again from ARK Investments as well. She's going to talk about her modified Bitcoin predictions. And then we're going to see Robert Kiyosaki and hear from Mark Cuban as well, too, okay? I'm trying to give you guys some more faces that you're familiar with as well, especially Mark Cuban, to know that, you know, a lot of times people you'll hear from Bitcoin could go to zero. Bitcoin could go to zero. People say that. You know, you got to be very careful. U.S. stock market over time is very proven. Bitcoin go to zero. I'm going to tell you, if you around 1900 said, hey, horses have been proven over 1,000 years, horse and buggy, horses are the transportation system, invest in horses, you would have been dead flat out wrong. Okay, we are at a historical inflection point right now where the global financial system will change over the next 5 to 10 years significantly. Okay, and at a minimum, the replacement for gold being the asset to store your value in as the primary is going to change. Okay, Bitcoin is digital gold. It's where you can store value that will keep ahead of inflation. It serves a function. It's a useful foundation for all the other platforms like Ethereum to be used, things like that. Okay, and so we're going to talk about this a little bit. But what you need to know is that it only takes 0.1 Bitcoin to capitalize on all of these things, okay? It's going to take 0.1 Bitcoin to capitalize on this big bull run that's coming over the next 5 years. Will there be dips? Sure, there'll be dips. Will they be crazy dips? A lot of the experts say, like Raoul Pal from last week, Michael Saylor, Kathy Wood, they all say that probably not. The big dip time is over, where a lot of these traders, they sell when it's high, they buy when it's low, and they keep doing this, making income for themselves. A lot of that we might have a 20% dip, 30% dip, but it's not predictable. So it's going to be a buy and hold strategy, okay? Whatever you do, if you get in, you get to 0.1, you hold it and just hold on to it till 2030. And I'm going to tell you why, okay? Let's watch this video and let's see why, okay? And hopefully this serves you guys, because again, my point is obviously to entertain you would be great, but I want it to be like, edutainment, right? So education, entertainment, building your knowledge base, and just understand this is an escape hatch, okay? Raoul Pal called it an escape hatch. He's the big macro investor we saw last week on the interview from Diary of a CEO. He calls it an escape hatch. Michael Saylor says the same thing, that this is what's going to allow you to break away from the struggle, the financial struggle, right? And actually be someone who's buying into the future financial system, which was not available to anybody really for a long time, unless you were mega wealthy, an aristocrat, came from nobility, have a mega powerful and wealthy family, getting initial IPO offerings on certain mega stocks. Only insiders get that stuff, but Bitcoin is open to anybody. Okay. And I'm talking specifically about Bitcoin because that's what I know. I know Ethereum a little bit as well too, but Ethereum is also a good one. I'm not going to talk about the other ones. For me, some people would say there's not much risk in the other ones either. Bitcoin has the least risk, okay, out of all of them. Ethereum, second place, least risk. I will say though, when Bitcoin wins, all of them will win. All right, that's how it is. All right, let's check this one out. Let's check out this video. We're going to hear first from Robert Kiyosaki. Well, you guys remember him. He wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he actually used to go on tour with Donald Trump and do speaking tours with Rich Dad, Poor Dad and all of Trump's books and things like that. Okay, so very, very smart investor, real estate investor, very successful as far as I know, unless he's taken a fall. I don't think he has. I think he's had a lot of real estate success and a lot of other success too. He's talked about gold, all these other things. Let's check it out.
Like I bought Bitcoin at 9,000 and
all right, what a jerk. I'm just saying. I wish I bought Bitcoin at 9,000. All right, let's listen.
Thought I was being fleeced. But like I bought Bitcoin at 9,000 and I thought I was being fleeced. But the reason I bought it at 9 was because COVID shut down the world economy. So I thought it was pretty, when they started printing, so I bought Bitcoin at 9. I wish I'd bought it at 10 cents like a lot of people did. But now I look like a genius because today it's around 55,000. This is April 2021. And I think it's going to go to 1.2 million in 5 more years. Like I bought Bitcoin.
Okay, he's a little bit off, right? But his money has doubled. It's at Bitcoin right now today is at 110,000. Okay, 110, 111,000. All right, and so he's doubled his money since 2021, but it's experienced a lot of shocks since then. Okay, historically, Bitcoin has gone up 160% per year. All right, and so we're gonna hear. Let's listen to Mark Cuban now talk about Bitcoin. Okay, and again, you guys do your own research. You do your due diligence. You make the decision. But I'm trying to do something that will be helpful for you because I really think about it, right? I talk about mindset stuff, about discipline, about all these things like that, about overcoming fear and uncertainty. How do you do that? And I'm going to release that video very soon that everybody voted on to put out how to build your discipline, your courage, okay, and your confidence. Part of the discipline, courage, and confidence you might have to have is overcoming the fear of uncertainty and having the courage and confidence to buy Bitcoin. Okay, and buy just enough. All right, that might be part of it too. All right, so let's check this out from Mark Cuban.
What you have to know, that's just in terms of the current price, but what you have to know is what is the utility. And Bitcoin now has become a platform more than anything else. Ethereum's a better platform, but Bitcoin is, the store of value platform. And because you can wrap it and more bridges are coming along and there's, they're enhancing Lightning where they can, there's just going to be more and more utilization for, inter-country, international distribution and payment schemes. What you have to know.
All right. So again, I want to add a little bit of credibility to it. Whatever you think of Mark Cuban, but definitely knows his stuff in business. He's on Shark Tank, okay? He knows how to analyze good investments and all those things. So I want to put that in there for you, okay? And just understanding that Bitcoin's a platform for the other ones as well, too. And he's saying Ethereum's a little bit better overall, but, I think that's all right. Hey, we'll see you. And yeah, so I think it's very important to know. You've got Robert Kiyosaki, you've got Mark Cuban talking about it. And let's hear now. We're going to hear now from one more. Okay, this is Michael Saylor. He's the CEO of MicroStrategy. And again, this is specifically about digital gold. This is going to talk about digital gold and about, where he came up with this term for it.
I looked at gold. I said, I need something like gold. But the problem with gold is it's a conventional asset. It had kind of recovered a bit. And I thought, it's not perfect. It's the best idea in the 19th century. And it's not quite working in the 20th century. And so I started thinking, what if someone designed digital gold? What if now we go back to the engineer saying, can you perfect gold? And the engineering idea, how do you fix gold and make it perfect? Well, you make it impossible to mine anymore. What if, and then we get into the fantasy thing. What if, if God came down, and there's a bit of theology here, if you allow me, if God came down and wanted to fix gold, it's impossible to make any more gold, right? How can you make it better? It'd be really great if it was weightless. How do you make it better? I'm going to cast a spell and allow you to teleport the gold anywhere on Earth. If God said, I'm going to implement a system of 21 million gold coins, but we're going to call them God coins, and I'm going to keep them in a bank in heaven, and I'm going to let you transfer, any amount. I'm going to let you subdivide it by 100 million, and we'll call them Satoshis. And I will let you transfer peer-to-peer and pay anybody, anytime, instantly at the speed of light, and I will keep track of the ledger of who. All
right. So what does all this mean? Okay. I know we're getting a little deep in the weeds here with Bitcoin, but I want you guys to understand it. I know we have a smart audience. I want you guys to understand this, okay? Here's a big thing, okay? Here's a big thing, right? That what he's saying is that there are only 21 million Bitcoins available. They're not going to create any more. Okay, so it is a fixed number. Supply and demand starts to become an issue. This is why, as it gets more in demand, okay, like I talked about last week, the institutional investors are now snapping it up more and more and more, buying up Bitcoin. It's more in demand, okay? The price is going to keep on going up because there's a limited supply out there, all right? And there's something called a halving event where every 4 years, the payout for Bitcoin miners gets cut in half, okay? Because they're only going to create 21 million, okay? And you hear what he's saying. He said gold would be perfect if they said you couldn't mine anymore, if you could send it anywhere, like Bitcoin, right? If you could buy small increments of 0.001 of a Bitcoin or of gold, if, it was weightless, if you could send it anywhere, if it was stored in totally safe, no one could steal it, okay? All these things. Really, really, really important and really interesting, and highlights the value of Bitcoin and why he's saying gold doesn't work right now. All right. And gold is going through some problems right now too, but that's why they're calling it digital gold. Okay, Mark, that was specifically for you from last week. And, I think a few others were asking about that too. And so hopefully that explains it. Put it in the chat. If you guys have questions, I can answer the questions as well too. I don't claim to be a mega expert on it, but I've got a decent amount of knowledge. Okay, so that's the important thing, right? Is that it's digital gold because it's the best way to store value right now, all right? In the past, for a long time, for hundreds of years, right, if not thousands, gold was significant because you could mine so much gold and you could use it as a reserve, and it was something you could trade for other goods and things like that, right? But now we're printing money, and the money is no longer backed by the gold standard. So what's it backed by? It's backed by faith and trust, and by, trade flows, and by GDP, and, and credibility and trust, like a credit score, okay? Based on a lot of different factors. And so, hey, Mark, I got you. I understand. And that's why I wanted to cover a little bit more about, about Bitcoin. I want to cover the digital gold. Because remember you asking me that, Mark, last week about, digital gold, explain that more. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I'll cover a little bit every week so we can build our knowledge about it. And hopefully you guys can take advantage of this. And hey, thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. All right. And let's check out this next one, okay? I'm going to go through these pretty fast. But again, I want you guys to keep your eyes on the prize with Bitcoin, with Ethereum. Because someday, if it's 2030 and Bitcoin's at $1 million, okay? Let's say it's 2033, Bitcoin's at 1.5 million. And you're like, damn it, Ben said it. And, I could have bought X amount, right? Or I could have started to put $100 away or something like that every month and accumulated, okay? Doing something, but you didn't. You're going to kick yourself, okay? So make a decision either way, but I want you to make it an informed decision. That's why I'm doing this. Because again, my whole thing is to try to make your life better, make life better for you. That's the point of my whole channel. And I really thought about it. I'm like, what would make everyone's life a little bit better? You know, all things being equal, probably increasing your wealth would be pretty good. And so how can we do that? Obviously, there's business, there's investments, all these different things like that. But I'm telling you, this one's one of the easiest ones and one of the most asymmetric, where you're going to get the highest crazy returns on your money, okay? It's not without risk, 100%. There is risk, obviously. But more and more, these people are saying, right? More and more, these experts are saying that the risk is greatly reduced. Like, you know, it's at a significant point where it's being used in different countries, being adopted as a currency, being adopted as, you know, a reserve. You know, there's policy out for it in the United States. Institutional investors, BlackRock, JP Morgan, you name it, they're all buying it up. Okay, so that's why I'm saying the risk is going down, hence why the price is over 100,000 now. Okay, all right. Let's check this one out. All right, here we go. This is good stuff. Please pay attention to this. I want you guys to win. It's my whole point. I want you to win.
But I think the much bigger force right now is it's the gateway into digital assets for institutional. It's a new asset class. That and the really substitute for gold as a store of value, another use case. Those are the two biggest, and those we have not changed at all our opinion on. So I think we can safely say that our bull case is well over $1 million in 5 years.
Bitcoin's trajectory to $1 million has never been clearer, fueled by relentless institutional buying and the fastest demand growth in its history.
Again, keep in mind, there are only 21 million Bitcoins, okay? This is the important thing to remember. There's a limited supply, and the major institutions, BlackRock, JP Morgan, all the others too, are buying them up like crazy, okay? They're putting them in pension funds. You know, they're putting them in investment funds. MicroStrategy has, I think they own 2% of all the Bitcoins in the world. I think they have 40 billion in Bitcoin, okay? That's Michael Saylor, the guy you saw with Jordan Peterson a minute ago. All right, so that's why it's really getting stronger.
Institutional buying and the fastest demand growth in its history. That's the latest prediction from Cathie Wood, the CEO of ARK Invest. Bitcoin is overtaking gold as the preferred store of value, capturing a massive share of the $15 trillion gold market, while pulling in new capital from emerging markets and sovereign.
Okay, hopefully that paints a picture. I don't want to overdo it on that one. But again, as a stored value, right? The best place to store your value. I mean, Michael Saylor, I saw him in a conversation talking about if you wanted to buy a $1 billion building in Manhattan, he said you're probably going to have to pay a $1 million transaction fee, at least, maybe more, to buy $1 billion asset. He said for Bitcoin, you might pay $1,000 for that transaction fee to move, store, and buy that much Bitcoin. You might pay $3,000. But it's not $1 million, 1 million to 1.5 million just for the transaction fee. And then holding real estate has become very expensive as well too. Okay, there's no price to hold it, to hold that much Bitcoin. If you hold $1 billion in Bitcoin, okay, for example. All right, so all right, and. Yes, and I have a question there. I don't really know a lot about it, but is Bitcoin going to transform into the ultimate digital currency of the new world order? I mean, yeah, I think so. I think that it will become, I mean, I don't know about a new world order. I think a new financial system. I think it'll become, and possibly it might be a new world order too, but I don't think it'll be a new world order as much as it'll be as a new financial order. I just think that, at some point in the future, Bitcoin is going to replace gold as the best place to store value. Okay, the most reliable, and it's going to become very scarce because it's going to be owned because it's a limited supply. So I see it being much, much more prominent over the next 5 to 10 years than it is right now. And again, guys, the evidence, this isn't Ben saying, I think so, buy it, it's frothy, we're going to make money. I'm not speculating, okay? I learned my lesson in the 2008 financial crash. I was a real estate investor, and I got crushed, okay? When you speculate on the markets, you might not realize there are major market forces at play, and you make mistakes by staying in. And I learned a lot of hard lessons then. So with Bitcoin right now, the key to this, again, the number one key, in my opinion, is the institutional adoption by major financial institutions that are buying it up like crazy. Governments accepting it, all those things, okay? So, all right, let's see. Hey, Jill, what's going on? It seems awfully bullish on Bitcoin. There are other ways to avoid transaction fees, and there's risk involved with Bitcoin. Well, if you're buying $1 billion building, there are not really that many ways to avoid the transaction fees. You must have missed the conversation. $1 billion building in Manhattan is what we're talking about. Major transaction fees. Yeah, I think the biggest sign, again, if you missed that, those institutional adoption is the biggest thing. With BlackRock, JP Morgan, and you name it, a lot of others, really, MicroStrategy pouring a lot of money into this. That is all the signs that Bitcoin's here to stay, and it's going to keep serving a good function. So, okay, let's keep on. I'm sure you could in Manhattan. I don't know if people like in Manhattan that could make me avoid $1 billion building purchase. And that's actually from Michael Saylor. He gave the example of that. That's not my example. Okay, we're moving on here. Guys, put your questions about Bitcoin in the chat. Again, Ethereum is another good one. There's Solana, there's XRP. I think as you get away from Bitcoin, there's more risk. Ethereum is right, I would say, number 2 under Bitcoin. Solana, number 3, XRP, number 4. All the others, I think there's significant risk. I would just be very careful. I believe in Bitcoin personally. That's why I'm talking about it. And there's some people that will tell you that the U.S. stock market is great. But if you look at inflation and you look at the debasing of the currency of money, then you're going to see that you're fighting an uphill battle. You can still win big in stocks, but there's no comparison to 160% average return, and annual return on Bitcoin. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll let you know for sure. I'm sure you could. Hey, never know. That'd be great. But I will definitely call you on that, Jill. If I'm going to buy the $1 billion building, I'm going to hold you to it. Everyone's watching. We're going to write that on the Bitcoin ledger. So it'll never go away. The transaction's there. All right. Take a little pause right now to hear from our sponsors. Okay. So I do a quick pause because I want to talk to you guys about my coaching membership. Okay. My Ferocious Optimist coaching membership and community. And I want to tell you about, it's something that I know. And again, but the whole reason I do this podcast, this channel, this live, is because I want to do something that's going to help you to change your life. And I want to talk about this because I know it's something that can also change your life if you're ready to step up. Okay. And that's my Ferocious Optimist coaching membership and community. It's, I made it for one reason. That's because too many people out there are trying to do things alone. And I had so many requests from people as I was doing one-on-one coaching. People would get in contact with me. When are you going to do a group? When are you going to do a coaching membership? When are you going to do a community? And I really had intentions to, but I never thought about it until I kept getting a lot of requests. And I thought, you know what? This would really serve to create a community of like-minded people that are all trying to level up in life, trying to support each other and help each other and be there for each other when times get tough and when they're trying to work hard to overcome adversity, setbacks, and to level up in life, which is always a struggle and always, it's always hard. So I want to say though, that a lot of the people in there, you're capable of more. You just don't know how to figure it out and how to do it. And that's what this coaching membership and this community is all about. So, and I want to say it's also not just another program or subscription. This is a private coaching community, okay, that you're going to get one live group coaching session per month, okay, about an hour and 15 minutes of instruction on strategies from me on mindset, discipline, leadership, business strategy, you name it, health, fitness, okay, all those things. And then we're going to do Q&A for about 45 minutes afterwards. It's in a private Zoom call, only members only allowed in there. And so you're on the Zoom with me. It's very personable, very involved. And I stay there pretty much as long as you guys want to stay and have the conversations and you want to ask questions. Okay. And then that's not all though, too. In the community itself, we have daily interaction in the Q&A. We have daily interaction in DMs with me. DM me back and forth. I can coach you through the DMs as well, too. And the other community members are there to support you as well. We have weekly and monthly challenges that get really lively and exciting as well to help you stay on track and to help you get ahead, okay? So it's all about building discipline, courage, and an unstoppable confidence in every area of your life, all right? And if you're ready to level up, and you're ready to stop trying to do it alone. You keep telling yourself, I can do it on my own. But have you done it yet? Okay. And if you're ready to stop, trying to do the same things over and over again, and, you're ready to finally get some help at a very affordable price point. Okay. It's only $87.99 per month. All right. It's an annual membership. So you pay that every month. And the great thing is there's no risk, virtually no risk. You can cancel at any time. Okay. You can cancel at any time, $87.99. And if you're ready to start and to check this out, click the link. It's in the chat. I actually remembered to put it. Someone told me last time, put it in the chat. So it's in the chat at the very top. Click that link. Check it out. I would love to see you in there. We're going to have our next live group coaching session, our private community coaching session over Zoom. It's going to be the third Friday in September. Okay. Third Friday or Saturday. I'll announce it and we'll work with the community and see which day works better. But that'll be the third week in September, Friday or Saturday. And then, you get right in there. And the thing is, you get to replay the coaching sessions from the past as many times as you want. Okay. So if you can't make it, it's not a problem. You go ahead and do self-paced. I also put the presentation that I coach from that no one else does. All right. I've been around this for a little while now. I put the presentation that I coach from also in the members area. So you can access that, download it, review that as many times as you want. Okay. As well too. You have the direct DM coaching with me every day, Q&A every day with the rest of the members and with me. Okay. Challenges, weekly challenges, all kinds of exciting stuff. All right. And there are also special members only offers inside for individual coaching, things like that only members can access. So if you're interested, you want to learn more, you're ready to invest in yourself, you're tired of trying to go it alone, you're ready to make a breakthrough and get with a fantastic supportive community, now is the time. Click the link in the chat. At the very top should be like one of the very first comments there and learn more. Okay. And if you're ready to level up, this is the time to do it. Go get yours. I'll see you in there. All right, let's get back to our regular show here, okay? Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. I know you've all been waiting for this, and here it is. Here it comes, South Park time, baby. Here we go. Let's do it. Let's get right into it. Now, why South Park, Ben? Why the hell are you doing South Park? We went from AI wars, serious stuff, to Bitcoin, serious stuff, okay? And because I think that Cartman's going to take over the world. That's what I think, all right? But I think that, sometimes we learn more from funny times, from, some satires, someone making fun of some situation, about people's behavior, or about bad leadership, all these different things. And I just found I always laugh my ass off when I watch South Park, honestly. And I think it's a fun way to address some of the broader issues that we have to face in our lives, okay? And so I think sometimes some of the smartest leadership lessons that we actually learn come from the unlikeliest characters, okay? And also, I hate to say this, but it's true. Sometimes some of the smartest leadership lessons that we learn will actually come from the worst leaders. And South Park does a great job of pointing out some of these people, okay? All right, let's get right into it here. Without any further ado, let us rock and roll. And again, this is not for the faint-of-hearted. If you're not ready for this, now's the time to jump out. Or if you know somebody that wants to see this segment, text them right now. Tell them to hop on. Share the live right now. Have them hop on. I had people that were waiting for this last time before. And here we are. It's about to happen. I'll give you guys a second. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell everybody that we're about to do this. We're about to get freaking nuts up in here. All right? And part of it is Ben stalling so that he can just get the damn thing working. Here we go. Ooh, who's seen this one? I'm already freaking dying. Here we go.
Hey, Bat Dad. I didn't hear no bell. Stop right now! I'm the best around. Nothing better hammer me. I'm warning you, sir.
All right. What can we take away from that clip? Put it in the chat. What are you taking away from that clip right there? Okay. I think Cartman is going to. He is. I understand South Park more than crypto too, but I'm catching up pretty fast. All right. Put in the chat what you take away from that right there. So, number one thing we can say, right, completely out of context from the story, but is don't quit, right? Don't ever, ever quit. This is my own context right now. When you think you're down and out, when you think you're hurting, you can't go another step. You got to be like Randy right there, imitating Rocky and saying, hey, yo, I didn't hear no bell. And you keep going and you keep fighting, okay? So the real lesson there is about perseverance as Randy's fighting Batman, Fat Man, whatever he is, okay, in front of the kids, in front of the children, embarrassing himself completely. And the major takeaway is don't ever quit because you never know. You're right around the corner from victory, okay? And more seriously, if you know the context of the whole story, is that Randy's got a real problem, okay? He's got a real problem, and he gets so overhyped about his son's baseball games, and he gets so over-attached and over-involved. And so the real lesson here is don't worry about things you can't control, okay? Take the high road. Look at the big picture. Don't get into fights at Little League games. Now, I was a youth football coach, okay, and a varsity high school football coach, and I coached in college as well, too, for a year after getting injured at the Naval Academy. And so I will tell you, you can feel the emotion. When your kid's involved on the field, you can feel the emotion, get a little worked up, okay, and get excited. But we've all seen those parents out there that are just nuts, right? And so don't be that person. Control your emotions. Don't embarrass your kid. Don't embarrass the other kids. Be a leader. Take the high road. Because sometimes it's good to learn how to lose when you got beaten, okay? Because you're going to learn what you're good at and what the price is to pay for you to win, okay? You know, so all those things, those are all kinds of lessons. But again, just like Randy, never quit. Never, ever quit. That's lesson number one from South Park, okay? Put in the chat, what did you guys take away from that? It's coming, Nick. How did you predict? It's coming, dude. I thought this was America. It's coming right next. Worst leaders. Hey, Lisa, you're still there. Awesome. Randy Marsh rules. I hear you. I should have worn my Cobra Kai. Oh, I know. Don't worry. I'm going to switch it up at some point. We'll add some other stuff in there, but you know, we got to keep on going. Let me see. Ben, hell yeah, you can pay for the membership in Bitcoin, Jill. I encourage everybody to go ahead and pass the Bitcoin on. Pass the Dutchie. Pass it on the left-hand side. Anybody know that song? Let me know in the chat. I got a lot of stuff for you guys tonight, okay? Yes, you can. You can give me Bitcoin if you want to. I don't recommend it, though. As a fiduciary responsibility, as your coach, hold your damn Bitcoin, please. Hold your Bitcoin. Give me a US dollar depreciating asset instead, okay? An inflationary, non-protected asset like that. It'll protect you better, okay? All right, that's awesome. All right, here we go, Nick. Here we go. The moment you all been waiting for, South Park number 2. Let's see what the hell's going on right here. Nick, you predicted it. You predicted it, okay? Now, in this scene, Randy is the guy we just talked about. And we'll see what leadership lessons we derive from this.
Really sucks. Really sucks. All 4.
Hamburgers.
Strike 3.
How the hell was that a strike? God damn it, he's going to burn.
What, is this a communist country or something? I thought this is America.
All right. And I'm trying to beat the copyright police who attacked me last week and shut down the video the next day by keeping these clips short, okay? So what do we learn there from that one? First of all, Randy's saying it's a communist country. I thought this was America. And so what is his mistake there? In America, I can do whatever I want, right? No, we have laws. We tell you how you can have fun, Randy. You're not allowed to have fun by beating people up and being drunk in the stands at your kid's game, all right? Pretty self-indulgent as a leader. Takeaway right there. Randy is being very self-indulgent, living the glory years, being the big guy in the stands, getting into fights, a Little League game. And so who has seen somebody at some point that has been in a situation where you can't act a certain way and they just act the fool and act nuts, right? They are very self-indulgent. They're totally acting out of context. And this is what this is about. If you want to be a leader, you can't be like Randy. Randy is a classic study in what not to do in just about everything, okay? And I think there are probably some examples where he wasn't, okay? Nick, you picked that one exactly right. Who's going to guess what the next one is that I'm going to play? Take a wild guess. What's the wild guess? Any guesses there? Let's see. All right, here we go. And the third one, the third final clip for South Park for the night. Let's see which this one is. This is a pretty good one too. If anyone's seen this one, you'll know it right away.
You need to realize that you have something in your brain that you somehow inherited from your grandpa that makes you act this way, okay?
I don't know how you can say that when you're standing here chugging beer.
I am not chugging beer. I'm sampling a flight of gluten-free German lagers with a French wine pairing. It's called a Smorgaswein, and it's elegantly cultural.
All right. So what do we got going on there? What do we got going on with Randy and with South Park in this case? What can we take away from this? Put it in the chat, damn it. Put it in the chat so we know, okay? Put it in the chat so we know what your takeaway is here. The company Christmas party in a nutshell, 100%, right? So, you know, I want to say, yes, you heard it, Lisa, pass the Dutchie. I knew you'd get it. I knew you'd get it for sure, okay? So check this out, though, right? Randy clearly needs to be someone who reflects more. Self-reflection is not in Randy's strong suit. So if you want to be a leader, you need to self-reflect. You need to set the example, right? He's saying he doesn't have a drinking problem. He's saying that, you know, I'm just doing a sampling. He's doing a Jaeger bomb, basically, right? He's dropping the beer glass into the wine and getting all messed up, okay? So, all right. Yeah, exactly. How he explains it away. And he says, clearly you have a problem. Is it to Stan? Is it? Yeah, it's not Kyle, it's Stan. Clearly you have a problem, right? It's not his problem. No self-reflection, no self-accountability. He's not setting the example. He's getting bombed in front of his kid. You know, not the best look overall, right? Randy has a lot of good things for us to learn here. And again, I think as a leader, self-accountability, hold others accountable, which he's doing to Stan, but he's not holding himself accountable to the standard, right? And it's so funny. Did anybody notice what he said in the beginning? Anybody catch that? Tell me in the chat. Did you catch what he said in the very beginning when he said, you know, you got a problem from your grandpa. Clearly you got a problem from your grandpa, not from Randy. And then you see Randy's the one with the drinking problem in front of him, right? So I was dying laughing when I saw that because he skips right over him. You got a problem from your grandpa, your drinking problem. You genetically inherited this, which he means not from him, right? Super funny. Oh my God, they kill me. So again, though, as a leader, right, we'll tie it into a leadership lesson. You gotta set the example. You gotta practice accountability, but you gotta practice self-accountability. You gotta have self-reflection. You gotta see, you know, am I out there with no clothes on, right? Am I making big blunders and big mistakes, and I don't even realize it, right? And if you listen to the feedback, you're gonna find out if you're making those mistakes. So you gotta pay attention to feedback. Some feedback you want to disregard and just be like, whatever. But you know, if you got a funny feeling that maybe you're messing some things up and you start getting some feedback that matches that, you know, it's probably time to make some change and to get on top of it. All right. Let's keep on going here. Any questions, put them in the chat. I'll get to them. We're going to get on the attack now with last but not least, the moment we've all been waiting for, number 2. First of all, South Park now. Aliens, UFO. You're not going to believe this stuff, okay? You're not going to believe what the hell's going on. All right? Zero integrity. Yeah, no integrity firms. 100%, Jasmine. That's why it's so funny. That's why I love it. Why these guys are like so genius. I'll tell you guys a funny story I just heard as well while I was doing all this research. You know, I get all these like South Park things that pop up. And I saw, anybody see, you know, the comedian who did The Machine, the movie The Machine? He said he was sitting next to Matt Stone, I think, on an airplane. And he said, dude, I didn't know who he was. And I started telling him how South Park did a part on me. And I showed it to him. I was like, these guys are genius. Aren't they amazing? And I was like really pumping myself up. He said, I got off the plane and someone said, oh, dude, you sat next to the South Park guy. He's like, I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. It's hilarious, though. You look that up. It's very funny. All right, let's check this out. UFOs. What is going on? What's going on with the UFOs? I got to tell you, because if AI and Bitcoin are reshaping our geopolitical world and our financial world, then the UFOs and aliens might just shape everything else and tells us we're not alone in the universe, okay? There's more and more stuff that's coming out that's pointing to that fact. Believe it or not. Trust me, like I said earlier, if you told me 5 years ago I was going to do a podcast talking about these things and talking about UFOs and aliens and all this stuff like that and being serious about it, I would have laughed at you and said, yeah, no way. But there's a lot of information out there, potential evidence that does not equal proof, but evidence nonetheless. Let's check it out. Let's examine it. Make up your own minds, okay? But I do think that while AI is shaping our world and while, we have Bitcoin, the new financial system that's emerging as well too, what if we're not alone in the universe? What if there are people here? What if the AI is actually coming from otherworldly technology, all right? And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist because I'm not that person, all right? I'm not into that. But I'm saying you got to open up your mind and, think of the possibilities, okay? It's all true. It's all possibly true. Let's see. Here we go. Let's check out this first video. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. At least you will enjoy it. Let's see here. Here we go. Check this out. All right, this is the Pentagon whistleblower, Dave Grusch. I think that's how you say his name, okay? He was in the Air Force's UAP program, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. I believe that's what it stands for. He was a major in the United States Air Force. He's a credible source, intelligence officer. I'll show you more reasons why he's believable later, okay? But he's going to tell us a couple things here. This is a testimony from, I think, 2 years ago. This one, we have more recent ones I'm going to show you in a few minutes, but let's check this out.
You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, and I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who pilot?
Now, this is nuts, right? Do we have the bodies of the pilots that piloted them? Check this out.
Piloted this craft.
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, is video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha. You've stated that the government...
All right, that's the first one. Let's check out this one. Same guy.
Do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General.
Has any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports?
I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured, and the activity. And I have
by UAPs or by people within the federal government?
Both.
If you were me, where would you look? Titles, programs, departments?
I'd be happy to give you that in a closed environment. I can tell you specifically.
And I would say, and I've told people that you have to know where to look. They're not going to divulge it to you because of the classification levels. But if you know where to look and who to talk to, which is exactly where Mr. Grusch would point you, then you have them.
Do you believe that our government is in possession?
Pretty wild, right? And so why is this important? Here's why it's important to me, okay? And why I think it's important for all of us. Trust is everything. In leadership, trust is everything. You have to build trust. You have to maintain trust. If there's something that the government knows, and they're not telling us about this, okay? And I want to say this, the government more broadly. Congress is asking for it. Congress is ordering these things to be brought out, okay? And still, classifications are hiding these things away. Again, you know, I just think there's a problem. There has to be more transparency. I mean, same thing with the Epstein files, right? Same type of crap. Oh, now all of a sudden we're not going to show this, all right? You know, and that's a whole nother show, a whole other thing we can get into another time. But I'm saying for this, and we're going to get into other videos in a minute here that say why they don't want to talk about it, because it's friggin' scary. That's why, okay? But there's so much information coming out, and to me it seems very believable, okay? And, you know, maybe I'm going to be proven a fool, but I didn't think about any of this stuff much at all until recently. And I have a few reasons for that, okay, that I'm not sharing. I have a few reasons why I'm talking about this that I'm not sharing. And I know a few things and have learned a few things along the way that led me to start investigating. And here I am talking about it now because more and more has come out, okay, with credible sources like Mr. Grusch and everybody else you're seeing out there. All right, let's keep on going. I'm going to show you guys another video here so you can make up your own minds about what's going on. But trust is very important. What are they hiding? Why don't they want us to know? Shouldn't we know? Especially if our representatives of Congress is asking for it. Shouldn't we know? We probably should. Okay? And trust me, I'm someone that had a top secret security clearance. I had sensitive compartmented information. I had TSSCI. I had special access programs, all kinds of them. Okay? I had, you know, all the stuff you can imagine. All right? Highest security clearance with special access programs. I was read into programs, things like that. Okay? Very trusted in the government. And I still think for these things, there's an appropriate way to go about it. We can't sacrifice or compromise, you know, our ways and means. We can't compromise our sources and methods that would hurt us out in the international environment, in the strategic environment, okay, in the global competition, as we talked about earlier. We can't give those away, our sources and methods, to our adversaries, our competitors. But we definitely can still share as much as we need to share. Okay? Let's take a look at this next one. All right, let's check this out. This is Luis Alazando. You guys met him last week. Alazando. He was the former UAP investigator for the Pentagon, and he's on a podcast here talking about his book and also talking about what he knows about what's out there.
So, I mean, you've got one on the front cover of this book, though, right?
Yeah.
What is this incident on the front cover of your book?
That is known as the gimbal incident. That is a video that was taken by an F-18, and you can hear the exacerbation. If you listen to the actual video, you can hear the pilots trying to discuss what it is. And then you also hear on it the discussion of, there's a whole fleet of them. Look at the ASA. And oh, by the way, it's going 120 knots against the wind at roughly 20,000 feet. So it's not a balloon. And you begin to see this vehicle orientate itself in a 90-degree angle. Now, if this was a plane with just your wings, if you go in a 90-degree angle, you lose altitude, right? Because that's how the principles of lift work. That's not the case there.
I think this is the video. So.
Yep.
All right, check this out.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
We've seen this before.
My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS, though, is it? It's not. I do have an LNS, dude. Well, if there's look at that thing. It's rotating.
And that was shot by 2 US sort of fighter pilots.
Yep. There's a lot more of those out there, a lot clearer too, but they're classified.
So there's more videos like this that you've been exposed to.
Oh yeah,
but they won't release them.
They will not release them.
Why?
Because of sources and methods. Because they.
All right, so it's just what I was talking about. They have better quality videos out there right now, but they won't release them due to sources and methods. So they don't compromise the means that they collected them by, how they did it, what they did, all those things like that. Okay. Hey, thanks, Mark. Awesome. Hey, see you, Jill. Thanks for coming. Yes. Bitcoin is alien currency. Use it here. Damn it. Yeah, I mean, so sources and methods, that's the big thing he talks about. But check out his him on the Diary of a CEO podcast, really good. He goes more into depth, okay? And understand this, that we have many people saying that they have biologics. They've got the bodies, they've got body parts, they've got crashed craft, okay? But it has to be talked about behind a skiff. They're all read into programs. They can still get in trouble by the government, okay? Get in trouble by the military, so on and so forth. Okay, we're going to show another clip here in a second, but I want you to be thinking, like, what do they know? Why haven't they told us? Who else knows? Okay, other countries. We're going to check that out here in a second. And what does this mean for all of us? What does this all mean? Well, check this out. We're going to go back and see Dave Grusch again on an interview from in April. Okay, so much more recent interview. The first one you saw at Congress was, I believe, 2 years ago, but this is just a few months ago.
UAPs is possibly misleading the American public. Do you think the American public is being lied to?
Well, they've been lied to over the years, and I'm hoping that the lies stop.
Coming up, it gets even scarier. The UFO whistleblower says the NHIs aren't all friendly.
Okay, NHIs are non-human intelligence, okay? I believe that's what it stands for, but basically the aliens, okay? Non-human intelligence or non-human entity, okay? So they're not all benign. Some of them are not so nice.
Whistleblower says the NHIs aren't all friendly. Have human beings been hurt or killed by a non-human intelligence? And guess who they might be working with?
We're in a competition with their adversaries to understand this, and it's a multi-decade Cold War that has been under our nose for so long.
I mean, pretty amazing, right? So again, remember my talk in the beginning, I said this is all connected. We're connecting to the artificial intelligence super arms race between China and the United States and Russia as well too, okay, involved. So how this is all connected. He even goes on to talk about there might be possible agreements between governments at some point, okay, because they refer to it in paragraphs of a document that was signed over a missile treaty about unidentified aerial phenomena that we can't explain. We will alert each other about any of these UAPs that are around our nuclear facilities, because they've been sighted around nuclear facilities over decades, okay, since World War II. All right. So just as has been hinted at before, was it nuclear technology that brought them, the detonation of nuclear bombs? We don't know. Or have they been here for thousands of years, you know, and just been coming all along, just like so many sci-fi movies have shown as well too. Okay. So I don't know, but let's listen some more.
The common interpretation from some commentators is that there is a non-human species and it's incredibly benevolently well disposed to the human race.
Yeah, and I think that is the logical fallacy there is because they're advanced, they're kind. We'll never really understand full intent in that because we're not them, whatever them is or are. But I think what appears to be malevolent activity has happened based on not only nuclear site probing activities, witness testimony. I think at least if we look at it through a humanistic lens, it does appear negative, at least to us.
Okay, so he's saying malevolent activity, malevolent behavior, bad behavior, you know, aggressive, possibly, you know, dangerous activity to us, right? You know, bad actors. That's what he's saying. He's saying we can't say that they're benevolent and they're kind because they're so advanced. He's like, that's not the case based upon what we've seen from them. You know, he even talks about it later that people have actually been killed by NHIs and been injured by them, by their aggressive maneuvers or aggressive things they've done. Okay. So, and he says a lot of it he can't talk about. Hey, Lady Ann, how you doing? Good to have you here. And so there's a lot to be considered here. Okay. Let's check out another one. Again, it makes you really wonder what the heck is going on. Okay. We're going to go back into a congressional testimony here. House Oversight Committee with Luis Alazando again. This is from this is about from 9 months ago, November 13th, 2024.
So, was anything described as that we have possession of bodies?
Yes.
We have is it multiple types of creatures or?
Sir, I couldn't answer that. I can tell you anecdotally that it was discussed quite a bit when I was at the Pentagon. The problem is the supposed collection of these biological samples occurred before my time. In fact, before I was even born.
And was this part of the Lockheed Martin discussion, or was this the biologics is a completely separate?
Separate yet related.
Okay. Has anyone made contact?
Sir, I'm sorry. Could you specify?
Has there been any, to your knowledge, any communication with a non-human life form?
So the term communication is a bit of a trick word because there's verbal communication like we're having now. The problem is you also have nonverbal communication. And so I would say definitively yes, but from a nonverbal meaning, when a Russian reconnaissance aircraft comes into U.S. airspace, we scramble 2 F-22s, and we are certainly communicating intent and capability. I think the same goes with this. We have these things that are being observed over controlled U.S. airspace. And they're not really doing a good job hiding themselves. They're making it pretty obvious they have the ability to even interfere with our nuclear equities and our nuclear readiness.
All right. So they're not hiding themselves. They're up there. So you heard him ask definitively, have we made contact? And he's saying, depends what you mean by contact. Physical contact, we've made contact, nonverbal contact. 100%. Yes. Okay. So that is 100% happening, right? Yes, they're saying, yeah, they're saying that, yeah, Joe, they're saying that we've made contact, that we've made contact with them and that we see them, they see us, they're messing around with our nuclear facilities, our nuclear readiness. And I mean, these are pretty credible people, unless this is a massive conspiracy hoax. Which, is that possible? It is possible. What's the likelihood, though? I don't think so. I think to have that many people in the know, it would have been leaked. It would have been leaked. Okay. So I think that's why I think it's definitely credible. All right. So, and here's one last thing I want to say. I want to say again, it's worth looking at this, and these raise the deeper questions about the truth, government transparency, and humanity's place in the universe, right? If we're on the cusp of learning that they're alien life forms, massive advanced civilization, hugely advanced civilization out there that's making contact with us, I think it's going to change our whole idea of the world and of our philosophy, of our religions, and all kinds of things, right? Maybe it won't change everything about religion too. But I'm saying our place in the world, it's going to be very eye-opening. And again, as Stephen Hawking had said, and as this, David Grusch is saying, it doesn't mean that they're kind. It doesn't mean that they're benign. They could be bad actors and have bad intentions for us. We don't know. Okay. So, let's see how it goes. But I do think it's important for us to know the truth. Definitely. These represent, though, hope as well, right? Hope that there's something more out there in the universe than just us. We're not alone. But it also gives us fear that we're not in control. What else does this mean? What other worlds are out there? Let's see. So this is very, very cool stuff. Okay. And let's watch one more. Let's watch another video here. And we're going to talk a little bit here, shows why David Grusch is credible, why we can believe him. Okay. Let's check this out.
Anybody who may come forward with that kind of information is looked like a total tinfoil hat guy, because it's a perfect amalgamation of disinformation to just make it look crazy.
The best reason to believe Dave Grusch may be this document. Remember that whistleblower complaint he filed? It would seem it hasn't fallen on deaf ears. So the Inspector General of the Intelligence Services of the United States has the information you've got.
Yes.
All right. Instantly, for me, this guy has more credibility, and I'll tell you why. Okay. Unlike that dumbass Edward Snowden, Okay, you all remember him from the NSA, the leaks. This guy actually filed a whistleblower complaint. He actually did what you're supposed to do, like a good officer of the United States, okay? He followed the process. He won't talk about classified information. You heard him in the even in a testimony to Congress. I can't talk about it. I've talked about it in a skiff. So he's not releasing the biggest secrets, right? He's saying there's something, and he's speaking. He's probably releasing more than they want him to, okay? But he's still going through the proper channels and respecting the system he was in. That's why he holds more water with me. He has more credibility, frankly. Put in the chat if you think so too.
The United States has the information you've got.
Yes.
And more importantly, the Inspector General made a determination about the credibility of your complaint.
They found, after interviewing myself and the subjects and other subjects that I'm not even cognizant on who they were, they found my complaint urgent and credible for the intelligence committees.
The word credible is important.
Yes.
You appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
So an official investigatory body of the United States government has determined that your allegations are credible.
Correct.
Okay, that's huge. Okay? This is huge. If you don't think it's huge, you want me to tell you why it's huge, put it in the chat and I'll explain to you. Okay? Yeah, I don't have any sympathy for Soden either. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I mean, put it in the chat if you don't understand that. But the fact that the U.S. government investigatory body, okay, the Inspector General says his allegations are credible is a big deal. Okay, that's why he's believable. That's why I'm showing him to you. I'm not showing some dude who's just making stuff up, right? Who heard something, is running with it because he's excited about UFOs. For me, this is all about government transparency. It's about freedom of information. It's about trust, all those things like that. Like if there's something this big out there, you know, I think it's important we know about it. I know they released things in the first Trump administration saying that, yeah, they're UFOs, and they released all these videos, right? And then they stopped. No more new ones. Alazando says because the sources and methods will be compromised, okay? So then why aren't we at least acknowledging it? They're doing it in the congressional testimony, right, in the hearings, and maybe that's how they're doing it. Maybe I'm missing the point. Maybe that's why they're doing it, saying they're letting them do this so that people are being informed. The American people are being informed in the best way they can, okay? That doesn't compromise sources and methods for intelligence sources and methods, the way they collected it, how they collected it, where they collected it, so on and so forth, okay? So maybe that's it. But put it in the chat if you have any questions on that. That's what that's about for me. And if you see this connection, hey, thank you, Mark. I appreciate it so much, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, spread the word, guys. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. It's going to help out the channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It's going to help out the channel as well. And then share this. Guys, share this with a friend. If everybody shares this with a friend, you know, and we're going to start growing this community and growing, you know, more and more people to come here. Mark is totally right. And Mark, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for the support, for the contribution. Appreciate you always showing up, man. It really is a big help. Thank you so much. Yeah, and so share this. Share this with a friend, okay? So we can grow, we can get this involved. And guys, don't hesitate. Hit me up on Instagram. Tell me what topics you want me to cover. All right? If there are things you're interested in, I'll do some investigation and I'll dive in there. All right? I mean, I think you guys see I love to talk about technology, you know, investing, funny stuff too. Leadership lessons from a funny angle, of course. Sunday is my more serious leadership day, right? The Sunday Live. And then also, you know, emerging government cover-ups. I mean, not so much conspiracy, but the UFO and aliens is significant because it could change our whole world, okay? And if you can see this connection with the AI, Bitcoin, and alien intelligence, things like that, the way our world is changing, but there definitely could be a connection for the advancements in technology and AI and the aliens, the UFOs, all those things like that, okay? 100% could be a connection. People have talked about that before, that why are we having such major advances all of a sudden in human history right now? And some people say because we have alien technology, okay? I will say I don't think that's the case. I think it's because the computational power of chips, okay? There's something called Moore's Law, all right? And Moore's Law basically says that the computational power of a chip will increase exponentially while decreasing in size. every several years, okay? And it might be every year, actually, okay? But what this means that chips have become smaller while their processing power has gone up. And so we can pack more and more chips into a physical space in a computer, in a system. And that's how the computational power has gone up so much, which has actually led to, AI currently where it is right now, okay? And now everything is being uploaded on the internet, and now it's code and algorithms and all these things that are being, I think the AIs are already writing themselves and improving themselves. I think the singularity is already here. That's what I think, okay? But so I don't think that's from the aliens as much, but it's possible. It is possible, okay? Probable, probably not, but it's possible. Now, material science, the breakthroughs in material science, definitely. Captured craft, reverse engineering, alien technology, at least having some type of idea, the way they structure composites and things like that, it's all possible, okay? All right, guys, give me feedback. Let me know how you guys like this one tonight, okay? If you want me to continue on with some of these topics, or tell me if there's some other topics you want me to cover, I'll definitely check them out and put them in there. Great hanging out with all of you tonight. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being here. And like I always say, make yourselves better, make the world better. Have an amazing, amazing weekend, everyone, all right? And go get yours. I'll see you all next time. Thank you so much for your support and all of your questions, and you guys hanging in there for me for a long episode tonight. It's been a lot of fun. I will see you all next time. Take care.